welcome to the James Skrmetta Show podcast, presented to you by Mac Anderson and Associates PLLC. This is the second podcast of the week, the first Thursday podcast in this new schedule. By the way, if you don't know, somehow, we do have a new schedule, Monday and Thursday, making sure everything's recording. Yes, audio check. Yes, video check. Me check. So in case you don't know, Mondays and Thursdays, you can find this show. It will happen every Monday and Thursday. I swear to God. Now, we have a packed show today. Absolutely packed show. Whew, man, I'm feeling good tonight. We are recording this late. We are recording this at 9:27 p.m. on a Wednesday night, which means this won't even be live until probably midnight tonight. So there's no telling what we're going to get into on the show. We got a lot of topics. We're going to talk more WAP. We're going to talk Joe Biden's running mate, schools, Kylie Jenner, college football. We're going to talk about it all. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. I'm drinking, usually I have a coffee, but it's so late I have a glass of water, and I forgot to do my dishes. I had a load of dishes I was preparing to do before I left the studio earlier, and all I have left is a wine glass. So you can see if you're watching on YouTube, I'm drinking water out of a wine glass. The pandemic is hitting hard. The pandemic is hitting hard. If you don't know this about me, we used to do a show called The James Skrmetta Experience, which then was called Your Week with James Skrmetta on YouTube. It was a play on a Weekend Update from Saturday Night Live. And I would just it was kind of like a podcast. I would run down topical events. I would just kind of like write stupid jokes or whatever. And we don't do that anymore. It was very, very time consuming, but it was one of my favorite projects that I ever did. And I came across a news story. This may not be good in today's climate, but I came across a news story, and this is exactly how I would have done the joke. And I'm going to do it live for you here, and then we'll get to the podcast. But it shows you what a different time it was that we could even make jokes like this. So I haven't written the first part of the joke. I know the punchline, so we're just going to go through it. But, so here we go. We're going to start off. This might be a new segment called, Rough Drafts or something. These are jokes that would have been in the drafts. Robin's Wish is a show on Netflix about Robin Williams' life in the final days of his, like, if we were writing, let me take you to the mind of the maniac. If I was writing this joke, well, let's just go through it first, and then I'll break down how it would have went. Okay. All right, here we go. Robin's Wish debuts on demand and digital September 1st, 2020, produced by Netflix. Robin's Wish tells the powerful true story of actor-comedian Robin Williams' final days. For the first time, Robin's fight against a deadly neurodegenerative disease known as Lewy body dementia is shown in stunning detail. Through a gripping journalistic lens, this incredible story sheds an entirely new light on the tragedy, beauty, and power behind the mind of one of the greatest entertainers of all time. The 6-episode series debuts September 1st, 2020. Man, I tell you what, it sounds fantastic. Can't wait to watch it. I sure hope the final episode doesn't leave us hanging. That would have been the joke. Now look, I'm no saint, okay? I'm not proud of everything that happens in the brain. And so this is in the mind of the maniac. This is how my writing process would have been for that joke. I would have made the actual, like how we read a ton of stuff, like, you know, the powerful true story. I would have used a lot of adjectives, gripping journalistic lens, incredible true story, shines a new light, tragedy, beauty, power. I would have had like this super long description, this super flowery kind of opener, and then we would have had that at the end there. And then I made up the 6-episode docuseries so that then that kind of leads into the final episode, leaves you hanging. Don't have to explain the punchline, but that is like a cookie cutter for the kind of jokes we used to do. And opening the podcast with that, I'm sure a ton of people have already turned off. So if you made it through the Robin Williams joke to start the podcast, welcome to the James Skrmetta Show Experience. And again, we are presented to you by Mac Anderson and Associates PLLC. Nothing. I bet they are feeling damn good about the sponsorship after the show leads with that. How are we doing, guys? How the hell are we doing? It's unprecedented times, man. Every podcast we kind of start with the same notion. We are really every single day. And this sounds crazy. This sounds very dramatic. But every single day we are wading deeper into uncharted territories. We really are. And that's not me being grandiose, or that's not me talking about just kind of over dramatizing what's going on around us. But I mean, really, every minute, every second, every day, every week, every month now, we are in the jungle. I mean, we're just kind of walking through a situation that none of us have ever been in before. Our governments have never seen before. Our leaders have never seen before. Society has never seen before. And we're trying to figure out how the hell to get through it. And, it's not changing at all. We're now, let's see, March, April, May, June, July, August. We're at 5 months into this quarantine, into this thing. I hear from people all the time, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, phone calls, text messages, whatever, with their kind of side effects, we'll call it. And, man, I feel different ones every day. I really do. Something I've noticed recently is this idea that, like, not being alone, not the idea of loneliness, but the idea of we're all just kind of out here, especially if you live alone, where, yeah, you have friends. Like, I'm sure you have a ton of friends, but when's the last time you saw your friends? When's the last time you really talked to your friends? I mean, how many text messages can you send before you're like, man, I don't know. Like, it almost feels like we're all in our own isolated game. We're all playing a game of solitaire. And it's an interesting universe where now everything, all the scope is shrinking. We used to have these huge universes, social media and video and what your job, your office. You went there. You had your family. You had your friends. You had the bar. You had restaurants. You had this. You had sporting events. You had travel. This big grand world, and now it's shrunk. And for some people, it's shrunk to like a 1,200 square foot area. For some people, it's shrunk to a house. I mean, I can think of, seriously, in quarantine for the last 5 months, I can think of probably 10 places I've been, 15 places I've been, just kind of a rotational 15 places. Thinking about a store, your office, parents' house, your house, maybe a restaurant to get a to-go order, gas station, stuff like that. It's like, if you've really been quarantining, it is a small bubble. And I just want to, remind everyone, good Lord, take care of yourself. It is a crazy, crazy time out there. I say that because we're wading into the uncharted waters of school. So school is reopening, or schools are reopening, or schools are trying to reopen. Where I am locally, schools started trying to open this week. When they made the announcement, I thought, this seems much. It seems rash that we're like, yeah, all right, we're canceling the NFL season. We're canceling, we're trying to delay the election. We're canceling. Google has canceled all employees coming back to the office. Amazon, no employees are coming back to the office. Oh, but let's send the schools back. It's like, man, that's not really adding up, is it? We're shutting down restaurants. We're shutting down bars. We're shutting down gyms. We're shutting down everything. But send the children in. It's like, man, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's too smart. And then immediately, I was having a private conversation, and I told them, I said, I'd be surprised if it lasts a month. Within the first week, we've already seen closures. Locally, almost every school is closed now because of coronavirus scares. Here's a headline: Georgia school district quarantines over 900 students and teachers. Schools, this is not looking good for the school. And it makes sense. Look, I mean, it's not that and some places are delaying. Like Louisiana has delayed schools, I think, past Labor Day. Mississippi, where the studio is and where we're home based, we just said YOLO, send them back. Mississippi cares about our educational system. Everybody knows that. Racial intolerance and education, Mississippi for life. But it's tough because I'm not going to sit here and say, do not open the schools. I'm not going to sit here and say schools should not be opened. But it's really hard to both be wary of the coronavirus and say, look, we need to take precautions. We need to mask up. We need to quarantine. We need to do this. Don't go out. Don't go in public. Be careful. Wash your hands. And then say send hundreds of students in the classrooms and tell teachers good luck. And then send those students home. And then it's the ultimate can of worms. And really, this is another thing. When you're in a pandemic, and we've talked about this before, I think I'm going to get a shirt that says we've talked about this before, because I feel like I say it 1,000 times in every podcast. I'll say like, we talked about this before, or last week on the podcast, or I've said this before on the podcast. We're doing so many podcasts that I feel like everything is just a continuation of the last podcast. So I'm really trying to not do that. But think about if you're in school, right? And you're in like algebra class and chemistry class and history class or something, and you're surrounded with this pandemic. It's like, look, man, it's really hard for me to give a shit about the Pythagorean theorem. I don't really care about trying to find the value of X right now. There's people bleeding in the streets. There's like Olympus is falling all around us. The walls are crumbling down. Tom Hanks is a Greek citizen, and the age of consent in Greece is 15. Do you think that's a coincidence? And they're trying to teach you how to discover what Y equals. I don't care what the square root of Y is. The only Y I want to know is why is Kevin Spacey in London? Why is Ghislaine Maxwell in a prison right now? Why is Jeffrey Epstein not being investigated as far as his murder? Well, that's the Y-axis I'm trying to find. I don't know what Y-axis you're trying to find, but I'm trying to figure out the Y-axis of why they bulldozed Sandy Hook Elementary School a month after the shooting. Somebody give me the answers, okay? I don't need a calculator to figure out that there's not a camera or that there should be camera footage of the plane hitting the Pentagon. You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's think about it. What subjects should be in school right now? What subjects should be taught in school? Or let's just start with what subjects are being taught in school. We've got algebra, we've got chemistry, we've got English, your sciences. You might have some anatomy thrown around in there. Look, students are already learning enough anatomy from Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B's WAP music video. They don't need anatomy class. Just show WAP 650 times in a row, and kids will know all they need to about anatomy. We have OnlyFans for anatomy. Let's think about the new subjects of school. Let's think about who should be teaching. Let's actually do this. What if we eliminated school and all students just listen to my podcast or watch my YouTube channels or caught my stream where we stream live every single day? What would they be learning? They'd be learning the important things of life. TikTok. They'd be learning the important things of life. Like I said, what are the classes called? Sandy Hook Explained would be one. The next one is Jet Fuel Doesn't Melt Steel Beams 103. The next one, why is Tom Hanks running 215? That's an advanced class. You got to learn a few things before that. The next class, what does the Catholic Church do with all their money? Like those are some of the classes that you get to. The next class, in-home workouts. Next class, how much creatine should you take if all you do is push-ups? There you go. We're getting there. We're getting there. We have like shop class. We have home ec class. Or home ec class. Is that it? Home ec? Yeah, home ec class. How to shop at the grocery store for the same 6 items for 5 months in a row. Boom. Eggs, Cheerios, almond milk. Oh, that's another class. Why are you still drinking regular milk in 2020? Imagine drinking regular milk in 2020. Like all these classes. This is what people need. This is what we need right now. What else do we need? How to bury your money in the backyard when the currency of your nation falls apart in front of you. Things like that. Like those are what we need in the school systems. We don't need to send our kids back to these petri dishes to get coronavirus, to bring it back to the household so they can do a book report from something Mark Twain wrote. I don't care what Mark Twain wrote. I need to know what Charlie and Dixie D'Amelio are doing on TikTok. That's where I'm at. I don't need to know about the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. I need to know about Jake Paul being arrested. Why is the FBI raiding Jake Paul? Let's talk about that. Let's go down that rabbit hole, right? Look, if you're listener, what do you think? What subjects would you put into school? What subjects should people be learning right now? It's really difficult to fake your way through this life right now. It's really hard to fake your way. And look, we're speaking in jest about some of that, I guess. I'm not really sure which part. Some of it in jest. But it is hard to do these things like school and to act like everything's okay when things aren't okay. And even if you're saying, I'm not even talking about the virus. I'm talking about just everything else. This quarantine has changed the psychology of people. Bottom line. And when I say things aren't okay, I don't mean everyone's depressed. I don't mean everyone's suicidal. I mean, look, shit is different right now. I haven't seen, like, think about the stuff on a really small level. I'm sure you haven't either. Buffets, I haven't in the last 5-6 months. Movie theaters don't exist. Like certain things that we have had for our entire lives, poof, don't exist. Weddings don't exist. Birthday parties all of a sudden don't exist. Celebrations all of a sudden don't exist. All these things that you used to do just don't exist. So it's really hard to sit back and say, all right, well, I know we've canceled everything, but send your students to school and help out with their homework. It's like, look, I'm just trying to make it through this damn thing. So I don't know what the answer is for the school. I really don't. I think if I was king of the universe, oh, what a universe that would be. If I was king of the universe, I think my answer would be delay it until Labor Day and hope that things figure themselves out. But the answer, I'll tell you what the answer is not. This is one of the few things that technology has not solved. The answer is not remote learning. If you do remote learning, if we truly had to do remote learning, you might as well completely cancel school and completely figure out a new curriculum because it's not going to work. You can't force students from different social classes to use the same technologies to learn something remotely when kids' attention spans, or even just people's attention spans, are shrinking by the second. We went from YouTube to Vine to TikTok. All right, that's how our brains are working. We went from full-length documentaries. Titanic was a 3-hour movie. Titanic was a 3-hour movie that took however much millions of dollars to do. And then we got Addison Rae doing TikToks that last 4 seconds and cost no money to do. People's minds are changing. Kids' minds are changing. So if you're going to do the remote learning, if we have to do that, then we have to change it all. We can't just fill our kids' backpack with, the normal pink erasers, book covers, send them to school, and hope that it's all right. I think that's pretty naive. I understand that we have to try, but I'm not surprised at all that schools are seemingly kind of being ripped apart here. And this is kind of like how it was at the beginning of the quarantine, where like Florida tried to open back up and it didn't work and they couldn't shut themselves back down. So then what do? Like school, we tried the schools thing. Okay, it didn't work. Now what? Do we just push through? Do we just keep sending students, staff, and teachers back to school and push through this thing? Or do we have to shut it down again after a week or 2 weeks and try and figure something else out? I don't know the answer. I really don't. But it is a very complex situation, and it's worrisome to see another societal construct, another norm of society fall down. Speaking of closures, so I said I was going to stop doing this, but college football is starting to fall. On Monday's show, it was just being talked about that maybe college football is going to be canceled. And now we're seeing the Big Ten and the Pac-12 postpone their football. So there will not be football in the fall from the Pac-12 or the Big Ten, at least. I think the Big 12 has said they are going to play, and I'm sure the SEC probably is already playing. The SEC might just play Alabama versus Auburn for 10 weeks in a row. They don't give a shit. They're playing football. I can guarantee you that. And this is you talk about layers. You talk about layers of stuff to get through is this college football thing. So let's just start at the very, very, very lowest layer of how do you deal with colleges? And that kind of goes with our high school thing. Like colleges, you're probably closer to being able to do just remote learning because they're adults, and it's just a little different. It's not teaching your basic things into a 7-hour day. You know, college is already kind of broken up. So remote learning could be more possible there. But then you have these giant campuses. What do these giant campuses do? And, you know, the idea of Ivy League. So if you're going to Harvard, but you're going to Harvard online, are you really going to Harvard? If you're going to Harvard online, you might as well go somewhere else online. So college as a whole is under a real magnifying glass of how to actually do that. Then you have the dorms and the scholarships and the students, you know, the students traveling to your campus, students from all over the place, living there, commune eating, commune shower, stuff like that. So college is a bag of worms on its own. Then you get to the athletics. Okay, here we go. Let's peel back the first layer. What the hell are college athletics? In my opinion, college athletics are a business. In my opinion, college athletics are pretty close to professional athletics. When did that happen? Well, it happened whenever college coaches started making $10+ million a year. It started happening whenever places like ESPN own the networks to the SEC network, the Big 12, or the Texas network, things like that. Once that happened, we started getting the college football playoffs, the Heisman, the presentation, all of that. Once that happened, it became a business. Now, they're not paid. College athletes are not paid. But James, they're paid with their education. Shut your mouth. That is one of the dumbest arguments ever. And it is said, I think it's like every time that is said, Kirk Herbstreit gets his wings. Every time you hear someone say that athletes are paid with a free education, delete them from your phone. That should be tested like the coronavirus. If somebody says college athletes are paid and they're paid with a free education, they should have a nasal swab shoved up their nostrils and they should be tested for stupid. And then they should be thrown into some kind of mental institution. It is the dumbest thing ever, and it's always thrown out there. So we're not even going to address that because I know my podcast audience is smart. Why are they smart? Because they listen to this podcast. They're very well informed, and they're all about critical thinking and WAP. And I know I don't have to explain why that is a stupid argument. But these athletes aren't paid. But college athletes, or college athletics, is the bridge between getting big paid, or as me and my fellow non-boomers say, grabbing the bag. To grab the bag, you got to get from college. You got to get from the college athletics part to the pros. How do you think Joe Burrow feels at LSU, or how do you think Joe Burrow's checking account feels at LSU and now at Cincinnati? What's the difference between that? I'll give you one hint: 1 year, 1 season. If that gets canceled, if Joe Burrow loses that senior season, he doesn't get drafted. He doesn't get taken first overall. He doesn't win the Heisman. He's not the starting quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. He doesn't sign a first overall contract. Think about how different Joe Burrow's life is if coronavirus hits 1 year earlier. When you think about that kind of stuff, you think about really the impact that postponing a season has. It's not just a club. This isn't just a club sport. This isn't just for fun. These are real financial decisions, real life decisions happening. If you postpone just your average business major, if you postpone his freshman year and say, hey, man, you got to remote learn, you're not coming to class for a year, figure your stuff out online, we have online courses set up, hopefully you can return to campus in 2021. It really doesn't affect him too much, or her, whatever. It does not affect them too much because they can probably still get their credits. They may be a couple credits behind depending on the online learning. But all in all, it really won't do that much. But if you tell these college athletes who are on a very thin time clock that they cannot play for a season, that is, black and white. It could not be any more different. So to stop these athletes from playing is pretty rash. It's pretty tough to do, to be honest with you. And I think the answer is some kind of bubble. My answer is always the bubble. It seems like the bubble works. To me, it seems like the bubble is working. If you look at the NBA, if you look at the UFC, if you look at all these places, not you, Major League Baseball, not looking at you, if you look at the bubble, it seems like the bubble works. Major League Soccer. So if we postpone college football to the spring and we prepare these conference bubbles, now it's crazy to think about because it's a lot of people. It's a lot of schools. But if we prepare just a conference bubble, and if the conference doesn't want to do it, the conference doesn't want to do it, and you should be allowed to transfer. That's how I think it should be. So let's say you have a Power 5 bubble. So you've got 5 bubbles. Now, look, this isn't a perfect system. All right, I understand the idea that, hey, man, whoa, what the hell? If only the Power 5 has football, if only the Power 5 has games, these other conferences are going to crumble. These other conferences aren't going to make it. They can't survive without the funding and the money that they would get from a season. Look, I feel you. I'm just trying to think of an answer. I'm trying to think of anything. I'm trying to think of anything besides canceling. So let's say you have a bubble, and you have the Power 5 bubble. And there's a bubble per conference, and that's it. You don't do bowl games. You don't do your national championship. You just have your conference champion, I guess you could say. But at least the kids get to play. And if people want to transfer, they can transfer. If you open something up like that, maybe we could at least have some kind of college football. But I don't think we will have anything that resembles colleges playing games, traveling around, and going back to campuses. I just do not think that's going to happen. I hate it. Because, like I said, for these kids, this is their life. And to watch these kids' lives it's almost like postponing their life or canceling their life. A lot of these kids are banking on getting drafted. A lot of these kids are banking on one season, another season. I mean, they've done all they had to do to get to Ohio State, to get to USC, to get to UCLA, to get to Michigan, and now they don't get a chance to do anything. So yeah, I really, it's kind of the same thing with the schools where if you're looking at it, you just can't do it. You can't do the normal college football thing. You could try and do the NFL thing because, like I said, it's 32 teams. These are pro athletes. Bubble them up. But with college, you're talking about 150 schools. How the hell are you going to bubble all those students? You can't. So you got to bubble them in their conferences, but then you have all these conferences, and some of these schools just can't afford to do that as far as like sending their students to the bubble and housing and whatever. So is it a Power 5 thing? Is that even fair? I'm just trying to offer some kind of solution, and a bubble seems to be the solution. Or maybe even a regional bubble, like, hey, you play 5 games, just at least get some games in, play 5 games to your super close regional people, whether they're conference or not, kind of have a bubble in that situation, and then go from there. I mean, those have to be explored. I think if you delay it to the spring, you explore those options, at least you give yourself a chance versus just canceling, versus just postponing the whole season. It's somewhere in the middle. It's not just play. The answer isn't just, hey, YOLO. Football's football. We need football. That's not the answer. The answer isn't just let them go smack each other and go back to campus. That's not it. But I don't think it's also cancel it outright. I don't know. It's tough. I mean, the college athletics is already something that's really hard to grasp because of the idea that these students these athletes should they be getting paid? I've always said yes. I've said it a million times. I've never wavered on this. An athlete should get paid for their likeness. If they're in a video game, if they're signing autographs, if they're selling jerseys, if whatever, should get paid 100%. They should not get paid a salary. They should not get paid to be on the team. They should get paid for whatever they make, whatever they can do on their own. They should own their likeness. Bottom line. The quarterback for Ohio State should not be paid a per diem or something that a diving athlete from Stanford is getting paid. It shouldn't be a blanket student athlete thing. It should be, okay, you're Johnny Manziel. You're selling 100,000 jerseys with the number 2 on it to Texas A&M. You should be compensated for that, for sure. So different can of worms, but I don't want to say I told you so, but a while ago I said, hey, we're not having college football, and it doesn't look like we are. Another news for right there with the football thing, the New Orleans Saints announced today that the first home game will be played without fans. So we will not have fans at the first Saints home game. Not surprising again, but super sad. This is something else, guys. It's kind of shocking to me. Like, we talk about this, or we have talked about this, and we have practiced this idea of quarantine, this idea of do your part. Do your part. Wear your mask. Wash your damn hands. Don't be taking body shots off of somebody. Don't funnel at the beach with 15 people. This isn't hard. Don't go to the buffets. Let's just try and take care of this thing. And what do we see? 4th of July parties. People funneling. People playing beer pong all over the place on a boat. People, going out, not wearing masks, saying it's a hoax. And then all of a sudden you're like, man, can you believe we're not having college football? What? Yes, I can believe we're not having college football, you idiot. Florida just had 15,000 cases in one day. What are you talking about? Yes, I sure can believe that. I just saw an Instagram story of 4 girls at the island riding an inflatable swan, and they're taking Truly shots off of each other's back. Yes, I actually can believe that. I just watched a grown man play flip cup with another grown man and shoot fireworks. Yeah, I actually can believe there's not going to be a college football season. What do you mean? The mayor of this city is saying that coronavirus is a hoax. Yes, I can believe it. It's like one of those deals where I feel like we wanted to have our cake and eat it too. You got to draw your line in the sand. The people who were like, coronavirus is a hoax. Hey man, you can believe that, but we're canceling something else. College football, Saints home games, canceling this, canceling schools, canceling this. You can believe it's a hoax, but you can't believe it's a hoax, and then when they turn around and cancel college football, you go, well, what the hell? Where's my tailgating? Sorry, brother. Good luck believing in the hoax. There used to be like this saying or whatever whenever people would say they were atheist, and it was like, yeah, it's just like, I'd rather believe and be wrong than not believe, get up to the pearly gates and be wrong. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how this coronavirus thing is, where you're really going out on a limb to just be like, not real, because it doesn't matter. Whether you believe it's real or not, we're still seeing we're still seeing the consequences, and we're all feeling them. I mean, now we're getting 5-6 months into this. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas is only a few months away. If we're sitting here and it's like, the Macy's Day Parade has been canceled. No football on Thanksgiving. Christmas is canceled. Like all this stuff, and we're going to be sitting here going, holy shit. 9 months, 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years. Like this thing is really real. And whether you think the numbers are inflated or whether you think, it's just a flu virus or whatever, or whether you think it's from China, doesn't matter. We are losing things at a rapid rate. We are flat out losing things. Thomas Keller, celebrity chef, he just announced the closure of a few of his restaurants in New York. And it's not because the restaurants are doing poorly. It's because of this pandemic. As this thing goes longer, I am telling all of you, and if you've been listening to this podcast, you know I'm going to be right. I'm telling you, we are going to be losing things. At this point now, 6 months into this, it's at the point where if you're a business owner or if you're a corporation, and you're looking at the outlook of all this, you're going, well, shit, I'm shutting it down. I just read something else before I got on the air that Uber was stopping production, or Uber was thinking about stopping their services or whatever, however they phrased it. And you're starting to see stuff just flat out go away. I mean, think about how different things were a year ago. Oh, you want to go to this midnight premiere of this movie? What movies? Every movie's being delayed. I mean, you want to go out for your birthday? You want to go bachelor party? Gone, don't exist. You want to have this wedding? Doesn't exist. I can't tell you how many people I know who have weddings in October, November, December, who are postponing them, who are canceling them, who are changing them to a 20-person kind of just intimate thing. Are the normal days gone? Is this really the future? Are we living in the future? Because when I look around and I see people acting like it's no big damn deal and acting like they're on spring break and acting like everything's cool and going out to the bar and posting all over their Instagram stories, when I see people doing that and I see the numbers skyrocketing, 10,000 a day, 2,000 a day, 5,000 a day, when we used to have 10 a day, 15 a day 6 months ago, and I'm staring at Christmas and New Year's and all this in the face, I'm not too confident that we're about to kick this thing. I'm not too confident this is going to go away. I just heard on the news that they were saying that this mask, like the mask requirement, the current state that we're in right now, they're saying that this could be the norm for 18 to 22 months. And when you think about that, and you think about, oh my God, he's talking about 2 years. 2 years of your life. Can you imagine if 2 years from now, it's still like, yep, all the restaurants are closed, all the bars are closed, no gatherings, social distancing, in 2 years, what do you think this world is going to look like? I mean, we're talking about it now, and we're just hitting the start of, school's canceled, college football's canceled, March Madness is canceled, baseball is like the 15th straight day that baseball's had a game postponed because of coronavirus. I don't want to be all doom and gloom here, but as stuff starts to fall and numbers go up, it's not going in the right direction. Things at this point, things should be reopening and numbers should be going down. And newsflash, they ain't. Speaking of a newsflash, imagine a breaking news alert. Boom! Man injured by 18-wheeler. Sideswipe, T-boned, 18-wheeler, driver, asleep at the wheel. What do you think? Man, I hope that guy's okay. Man, I hope that guy has a good legal team behind him. Man, I hope that guy gets what he deserves. That's what you should be thinking, right? That's what I'm thinking. But what I'm really thinking is, man, I hope once that guy rolls off the side of the road, wakes up after out of his coma, gets his life together, remembers what universe he's in, I hope he remembers this number, 601-450-1715, and I hope he tells the people at Mackhard, Anderson & Associates, PLLC, that James Skrmetta sent him, and he heard about their services on the James Skrmetta Show podcast, because they will move him to the front of the line, and he will get the red velvet rope VIP service that he deserves. Car wrecks, 18-wheeler collisions, wrongful death, bad faith insurance claims, fire loss, termite damage, offshore injuries, employment discrimination, and contract business disputes. Is there anything that Mackhard, Anderson & Associates, PLLC cannot do? The answer is yes. They cannot put some scummy-ass billboard advertisement up. They cannot do it. What else can't they do? They can't screw their clients out of money. What else can't they do? They cannot tell their clients 15 minutes or less. They cannot tell their clients one call, that's all. They cannot tell their clients one click, that's it. What can they do? Offer the best service, the best negotiation, the best litigation, whatever you need, the best representation, all the tations, all the Asians. They got it. They are truly the best in the game. The Hattiesburg-based law offices of Mackhard, Anderson & Associates, PLLC, the presenting sponsor of this podcast. Nobody does an ad read like me. The segue, the ad read off the top of the dome, no script. Think about it. They have been our presenting sponsor the entire year, and we thank them for that. Our show has had explosive growth, and people ask me all the time about the services of Mackhard, Anderson & Associates, PLLC. Not every day do people get T-boned by an 18-wheeler, but a lot of days you will see people dealing with wrongful death, insurance claims, fire loss, termite damage, stuff like that happens. And when stuff like that happens, I promise you, you want to have the entire law office, not just one person, the whole damn office of Mackhard, Anderson & Associates, PLLC behind you. Again, 601-450-1715 is the number. The website, mackhardlaw.com, MCHARDLAW.com. They are our presenting sponsor. Guys, Monday, we were joking around. Monday, we were having a goof. We were having a gaff. We were having some fun. Everyone knows that. We were having a little fun. Y'all had fun, right? I had fun. And we opened the show talking about Kylie Jenner, or not Kylie Jenner, excuse me. We opened the show talking about Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B, their new song, WAP. I knew the song was going to be, talked about as Cardi B. It's Meg Thee Stallion. It's vulgar. It's provocative. I knew that was going to happen, right? I did not know we were going to face the backlash that it is facing. All of these, I just don't understand why people are so concerned with stuff like this. This is 2020 just in a nutshell. When we open the show today with the Robin Williams joke, look, it's a joke, okay? Humor is derived out of loss. Humor is derived out of tragedy. I don't need some snowflake talking to me about why it's not funny or why it's whatever, rude, or it doesn't matter. When you hear people complaining about the vulgarity of Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion's song, it's just kind of sad. And everyone's favorite internet nerd, Ben Shapiro, is right in the front of this. Ben Shapiro reacted to WAP, and he reacted to the vulgarity. So let's go ahead and play the clip of Ben Shapiro reacting to WAP.
Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. Hold up. I said certified freaks 7 days a week. Wet ass P word. Make that pullout game weak. Yeah, you effin' with some wet ass P word. P word is female genitalia. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P word. Give me everything you got for this wet ass P word. Beat it up, N word. Catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this P word right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top, I want to ride. I do a Kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes. This P word is wet, come take a dive. It continues along these lines. And it gets significantly more vulgar. Like a lot more vulgar. Talk your S word, bite your lip. Ask for a call while you ride that D word. You really ain't never gonna F him for a thing. He already made his mind up before he came. Now get your boots and your coat for this wet ass P word. Pay my tuition just to kiss me on this wet ass P. Right. So this is, guys, this is what feminists fought for. This is what the feminist movement was all about. It's not, it's not really about, women being treated as independent, full, rounded human beings. It's about wet ass P word. And if you say anything differently, it's because you're a misogynist, you see. It gets really vulgar.
This did no favors to Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro looks as square gets. Mans could be in a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. He's so damn square. Look, not everything has to be about voter rights. Not everything has to be about Harriet Tubman. Not everything has to be about, historical context. Sometimes, bottom line, you want to mob up with your boys, mob up with your girls, listen to some trap music, and do hood rat things with your friends. It happens, all right? What do I like to do? We talk all kinds of stuff on this show. We talk politics. We talk societal norms. We talk all kinds. I'm all about some deep Jules Verne level conversations. If you don't understand, that's a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Jules Verne's the author. It's deep conversations. Don't make me spell this all out for you, ladies and gentlemen. It's 11 o'clock on a Wednesday. I can't be doing that to you right now. I'm all for deep conversation. What I'm also for is listening to Knuck If You Buck by Crime Mob, drinking malt liquor, and watching my friends do tricks smoking Juuls as we're on the way to a casino dressed in joggers and short-sleeve button-up shirts. That's what I like to do sometimes. Or that's what I used to like to do. Now that doesn't even happen. If I want to listen to Waka Flocka Flame while I'm shotgunning a Truly's, I'm going to do it. I don't need someone to tell me, man, have you heard the lyrics to Waka Flocka Flame songs? Have you heard the lyrics to Knuck If You Buck? How do you think that lines up with the protest currently happening in Portland? Shut your mouth. Here we go. Here's some lyrics to Knuck If You Buck. Stomping, jumping, bumping, and we crunk off in this damn thing, throwing them bows up at these hoes. They screaming, they bleeding from they nose. That's what I'm all about. I don't need Ben Shapiro to ask me, well, I mean, do you think that Martin Luther King Jr. would have really appreciated those lyrics right there? I don't care right now, Ben Shapiro. I'm off the Henny, son. I'm drinking Henny and Hypnotic and Henny. Okay? I don't need to hear what you have to say about WAP, Ben Shapiro. I'm ordering a round of Vegas bombs for me and my boys. We're mobbing out of control. All right? Do you not see my shirt? Everyone has a going out shirt. Short sleeve button up. Crazy shit all over the shirt. Palm trees. It could be anything. It could be anything. Right? It's just so funny to me that I see this kind of stuff where now WAP is under fire. And I'm not saying that WAP shouldn't, I'm not saying that we should replace the national anthem with WAP. I'm not saying that people should be getting married to WAP. I'm not saying that people should be turning around here and just having WAP played at funerals or whatever. Is it a gross song? Is it some nasty language? Is it scantily clad women? I mean, Cardi B is wearing a leopard leotard with holes cut out for her nipples. Like, yeah, it's a gross song, but gross songs happen. I remember when I was, probably 13 years old, Nelly came out with a song called Tip Drill. The music video was so raunchy, they couldn't even play it on MTV. It was explicit. It was like, whatever, X-rated. You couldn't even find the video unless you had a BearShare account, and I'm not gonna admit to anything here, but I knew some people with BearShare accounts, and I saw the video, and I'm fine. I saw the Tip Drill video, and I'm a registered voter who's voted in every election. We're all good, right? We're all good. WAP is not destroying the female construct. WAP is not ruining women's rights. It's so. I like Ben Shapiro. I'm all for smart intellectual conversation. But sometimes, man, you just got to get out of your own bubble. You just got to get out of your own damn way. Ben Shapiro or anybody who's listening to WAP and screaming, "Get off my lawn," is just boomering themselves into a different stratosphere. I'm not trying to have a beer with Ben Shapiro because of his response to WAP. I'm not saying you got to go to strip clubs all the time, but I don't trust a guy who hasn't been in a strip club. You got to experience something sometimes. You got to just, sometimes, dude, sometimes you got to black out, order some late night pizza and live a little bit. It's just how it is. And I'm not a woman, so I'm not like twerking my shit all over the place, listening to WAP with rollers in my hair. But if girls want to do that, if ladies want to do that, if they want to be on a bachelorette party and play WAP and get crazy, or if strippers want to dance, I don't care. I do not care. Look, we talk about critical thinking and deep stuff on this podcast all the time. There's a time and a place for that, absolutely. I don't think you should be reading Ulysses every single day. I don't think you should be only watching Schindler's List, all right? I think that there is a time and a place for garbage television. There is a time and a place for acting unruly. There is a time and a place for Waka Flocka Flame. There is a time and a place for Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B, all right? Have a little fun out there. Loosen up a little bit. Life is so damn short, and if we know it now more than ever, life is really just whatever you want it to be. So don't make yourself miserable acting like a hall monitor 24/7. All right, right now, crank up some damn WAP. Whatever you got in your house. You got some wine in your house, some beer in your house. Just let it rip. Let it rip. Crank up WAP and go for it. And one more thing on WAP, and I promise this. Hopefully, this is the last time we'll talk about this on the podcast. Kylie Jenner is in WAP. She has a little weird cameo. A few people have cameos. And Kylie Jenner is getting a ton of shit for it. A ton of shit. For two reasons. The first reason is people are saying that it's cultural appropriation because it's, Cardi B, Meg Thee Stallion. There's a bunch of other people, Normani. So everyone in there is black except for Kylie Jenner. Newsflash. Do you idiots not listen to the podcast? Whoever's making these criticisms, the Jenners and the Kardashians are every single culture at the same time. I've seen Kylie Jenner. If you asked me what ethnicity Kylie Jenner is, I'm not even sure what I would say. It ain't white, I'll tell you that much. It's like a Persian kind of thing going on here. But we all know they transcend cultures. Kylie Jenner, Kim Kardashian, Khloe Kardashian, they've all been there. Look, Kylie Jenner is probably more black than Cardi B. All she's got to do is change her hair. One day, boom. If Kylie Jenner wanted to be more black than Cardi B, she could be. 100%. She just calls up her makeup people. She calls up her plastic surgeon. She calls up her hair people. She could come out tomorrow looking like Beyonce in the Lemonade video. All right? Kylie Jenner knows no bounds. So to box Kylie Jenner up or Kim Kardashian up or whoever up and throw them into one cultural area, wake up, critics. But the second reason is people are just flat out, and we'll end the show. It's kind of funny, like we're talking about WAP, but we're going to end the show with the vice president situation. But this is the last thing we'll say about this. They hate Kylie Jenner because people have a real problem with success. And a lot of the times, a really successful person forces other people to kind of like reflect on themselves. And instead of being like, oh, wow, this is a 20-something-year-old self-made, or not self-made, but 20-something-year-old billionaire who's, attractive or whatever and has a makeup company and she's in this music video and she's got this Instagram, whatever. Instead of just being like, hey, man, hey, props, good for you. Instead of that, people just hate. LeBron James faces this. LeBron James is probably the most hated athlete on the planet. And LeBron James is also one of the only athletes who's never had a negative story about him at all. Now, I know the Hong Kong stuff was pretty bad. Fine. And he is a goob. Fine. But he gets a lot of his hate because people just don't like uber success. They don't like people who just always seem to win. Tom Brady, the same way. Tom Brady's probably the most hated quarterback to ever play the game. And the only reason that's the case is because he always wins. So I'm seeing all this critique, all this hate for Kylie, and I'm no Kylie stan. I'm not simping out of my mind over here. I'm just trying to put into perspective why that she's receiving this criticism and why you're seeing this much, hate and backlash. And that's the reason. People just do not like success. They don't like people who just win or people who are put in these winning situations. People feel like successful people are somehow tearing down normal people. That's why people watch reality television and shows like The Biggest Loser or, shows like The Bachelor, because it makes you feel like whatever the hell is going on in your life, it is okay because it's not as bad as whatever's going on in these people's worlds. All right. The Biggest Loser makes people feel okay about themselves because they ain't on the show. All right. That's why reality TV took off. People want to watch train wrecks so that their own personal train wrecks don't seem that bad. Why do you think people love Tiger King so much? We watch Tiger King, or the whole world watched Tiger King, because they could sit back in the middle of a pandemic and go, you know what, man? My shit ain't that bad because I'm not them. That is the basis for reality TV, is that you can internally compare your life, compare your situation, compare your settings, and go, all right, we're okay. You can't do that with some of these people. You can't look at LeBron James or Tom Brady or Kylie Jenner and go, you know what? My shit's okay. It makes you go, damn, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing? Why am I not in that situation? And then you resent it, and then you get angry and bitter, and you hate it. And I'm not saying everyone does that. Some people can separate the two. No problem. I have no problem, with these people. But the battery on my camera is running low, it looks like. So we're going to wrap this up. But that is my thoughts on the WAP thing. Last thing, Joe Biden selected his vice president, Kamala Harris. Wetfart.gif, who cares? Kamala Harris is about as boring as it gets as far as a nomination. We knew it was going to be a woman. We knew it was going to be an African American. No surprise there. I think there was only some holdout for Michelle Obama. I think some people were hoping maybe Michelle could get it. If Michelle got it, could she swing things? Could she maybe make this a little more interesting? Bottom line, guys, Joe Biden is not mentally competent. I don't think he can run. I totally understand people who are like, I'm voting for anyone but Trump. I did the same thing with Hillary. So I know if you're on that side, I ain't talking you out of nothing. I really don't care who you vote for, and you shouldn't care who I vote for. As long as you put some research and some critical thinking into whoever you vote for, hey, man, have at it. Vote for me. I really don't care. We're in a complete collapse of society as we know it. I don't think it really matters in the grand scheme of things. Kamala Harris is not swinging anybody. I don't think Kamala Harris is taking any voters that were on the fence over to Biden's side. I think Biden, the only way he wins is if this pandemic continues through the election and Biden never has to debate. If Biden has one debate, he will get blown out because he cannot go 10 minutes without saying some crazy-ass shit. So I don't think he's presidential material. I understand that he's a puppet. I understand that he is being put up by more powerful people. And I understand that a lot of people don't like Donald Trump either. Totally get it. Worst two candidates we could have possibly had. America's in a bad spot. Thank you very much for listening to the James Skrmetta Show podcast. I appreciate that. Have a great Thursday. Have a great rest of your week. And I will see you here on Monday for the best podcast really in the whole world, the James Skrmetta Show.